Where are you watching from? Let's know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories. The sun had barely risen over Lisbon, but Claire was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table, staring at her phone. The knight's message still glared at her. We saw the game. He's valuable now. Yours. Pay or he pays. Her hands trembled as she clutched the device, afraid to delete it, afraid to keep it. Every creak of the old apartment walls felt like footsteps. Every car outside sounded like someone waiting for them. Daniel stumbled into the kitchen, hair wild, still glowing from yesterday's victory. "Morning, Mom," he said cheerfully, pouring cereal like nothing in the world could break him. He didn't see the phone she quickly shoved into her pocket. He didn't hear the fear choking her chest. Instead, he was buzzing with excitement. Ronaldo said scouts might come back next week. Can you imagine, Mom? In front of real scouts. His voice cracked with joy. He laughed, a laugh so pure Claire couldn't bear to poison it with the truth. She forced a smile. "You deserve it, Danny. You've worked so hard." But inside, she screamed. She wanted to tell him about the shadows that had followed them across the ocean, about the faceless men who now circled his rising star. But she couldn't. Not yet. He needed to focus, not fear. Later that afternoon, at the training ground, Ronaldo called Daniel over. The legendary footballer had been watching him closely since the match, and now his eyes burned with intensity. "You did well yesterday," Ronaldo said. "But one good game does not make a career. The world is watching now, Daniel. Pressure will come. People will doubt you. They will try to break you. The question is, will you break or will you fight?" Daniel swallowed hard. "I'll fight." "Good," Ronaldo replied, clapping him on the shoulder. "Because talent opens doors, but resilience keeps them open." Claire, watching from the stands, felt a surge of gratitude. Ronaldo wasn't just training her son's feet, he was shaping his heart. But as the session ended, Claire noticed something chilling. Across the street, parked just beyond the gates, was the same black car she had seen outside Ronaldo's villa days earlier. Its windows were tinted, its engine idling. Her chest tightened. She grabbed her bag, hurrying Daniel away. He noticed her urgency. "Mom, what's wrong?" "Nothing," she lied, her smile brittle. "Just tired. Let's go." That night, as Daniel slept, Claire typed a desperate message to Ronaldo. "They're here. Watching. I'm scared." Minutes later, her phone buzzed. Ronaldo's reply was short, steady, powerful. "You're not alone. Trust me. Tomorrow we act." Claire exhaled, tears spilling down her cheeks. For the first time since the threats began, she felt a flicker of hope. But outside, in the shadows of Lisbon's quiet streets, unseen eyes were still watching, waiting, and planning. The next morning, the city of Lisbon hummed with life. Trams rattled over cobblestones, vendors shouted at street markets, and seagulls wheeled above the harbor. But in Claire's chest, dread lingered like a shadow she could not shake. She had Ronaldo's words echoing in her mind, "Tomorrow we act." Yet she couldn't silence the thought that tomorrow might already be too late. Daniel was radiant. He jogged beside her toward training, dribbling a ball along the pavement, every touch quick and confident. His face carried the glow of a boy living a dream. "Mom, did you see how Coach Silva looked at me yesterday? He said I reminded him of a young striker from Porto. Can you imagine? Me, compared to a pro." Claire smiled weakly, her eyes darting to every parked car, every stranger's face. Daniel didn't notice. He was too busy chasing destiny. At the training ground, Ronaldo was already there, working out with weights, sweat pouring down his temples. The other boys watched him with awe, whispering, nudging each other, but Ronaldo ignored the chatter. His focus was absolute. When he saw Claire, he gave a reassuring nod, as if to remind her silently, "You're not alone." Training that day was fierce. Coaches pushed the boys through drills that left them gasping, but Daniel thrived. His speed stood out, his determination blazed. Even when older players tried to body him off the ball, he sprang back up, fighting harder. Ronaldo watched closely, occasionally barking a correction or a sharp "again" that made Daniel push beyond exhaustion. By the end of the session, Daniel's shirt was drenched, his chest heaving, but his smile never faded. Ronaldo clapped him on the back. "Good. You fight like a warrior. That will take you further than talent alone." Claire's chest swelled with pride. For a brief moment, the shadows seemed far away. But then the first strike came. As they left the facility, Claire and Daniel walked toward the bus stop. The street was quiet, lined with old buildings painted in pastel colors. Suddenly, the black car she had feared screeched from a side alley, tires screaming. Two men stepped out, their faces hidden under caps. "Mom," Daniel started, but Claire shoved him behind her, her heart hammering. One of the men sneered in a thick accent. "Claire Matthews?" She froze. Her blood turned to ice. "We told you, your debt is not forgotten. You think you can run to Europe? Think again." His eyes flicked to Daniel. "The boy is worth more than the money you lost. Much more." Claire's throat went dry. She wanted to scream, to fight, but fear rooted her to the spot. The man stepped closer, lowering his voice to a hiss. "One call from us and his career is finished before it begins. Pay us, or we take him." Daniel, wide-eyed, tried to step forward, but Claire pushed him back. "Stay behind me," she whispered desperately. Just then headlights flared. Another car pulled up fast. The door swung open, and out stepped Cristiano Ronaldo. The scammers faltered. The sight of him, tall and commanding, seemed to freeze them. He strode forward with the confidence of a man who had faced pressure his entire life, his voice like steel. "You don't belong here," Ronaldo said, eyes locked on the men. "Leave. Now." The men exchanged nervous glances, muttering curses under their breath. One spat on the ground. "This isn't over." Then they climbed back into their car and sped away, disappearing into the Lisbon traffic. Claire's knees gave out. She nearly collapsed, but Ronaldo caught her arm, steadying her. His eyes softened. "They won't touch you while I'm here. I promise." Tears streaked down her face. "Cristiano, they followed us here. They won't stop." He nodded grimly. "Then we don't hide. We prepare. I will not let them destroy what you and Daniel are building." Daniel stood there, fists clenched, trembling with anger. "Mom, who were those guys? Why were they after you?" Claire's heart broke. She had shielded him for so long, but she could no longer hide the truth. With her voice shaking, she told him everything. The scam, the money lost, the threats that followed. Daniel's eyes widened with each word. When she finished, he looked at her with hurt and love tangled together. "Mom, why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't want to crush your dream," she whispered. "You've already lost so much. I couldn't take away your hope too." Daniel swallowed hard, tears glistening in his eyes. "You're my mom. You're my hero. But we can't fight this alone anymore." He turned to Ronaldo. "Please, help us." Ronaldo placed a hand on his shoulder. "I already am. And I will continue to. But Daniel, you must stay focused on football. That is your weapon. Claire and I will deal with the rest." The boy nodded, his jaw set. "Then I'll fight on the pitch. No matter what." That evening, Ronaldo invited them back to his villa, this time not for dinner, but for protection. Security guards patrolled the grounds, watchful and silent. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy but resolute. Ronaldo sat across from Claire at the long dining table. "They want to scare you into silence. But fear gives them power. From now on, you tell me everything. Every call. Every message. No more hiding." Claire nodded, her eyes red from tears. "I'm so sorry, Cristiano. I never wanted to drag you into this." He leaned forward, his gaze steady. "Claire, listen to me. When I was a boy in Madeira, I had nothing. No money, no safety. But people believed in me. They gave me a chance. Now it's my turn to give back. You and Daniel are family now. And family doesn't walk away." Emotion overwhelmed her. She pressed a hand to her lips, sobbing softly. Thank you. Daniel, sitting nearby, clenched his fists. "I swear I'll make you proud, Cristiano. I'll play harder than anyone. I'll make sure none of this is for nothing." Ronaldo smiled faintly. "I already am proud." Outside, The Lisbon night deepened, shadows stretching long. But for the first time, Claire felt they had more than fear, they had an ally. Still, in a dim cafe across the city, the two scammers sat with their phones glowing. One muttered, he interfered, Ronaldo, always the hero. The other smirked, then maybe we heard him too. The game had changed. The underworld had made their first strike. And they were far from finished. Lisbon's skies were alive with golden light, the city pulsing with its usual rhythm. But for Claire, every step outside felt like walking a tightrope. She clung to Ronaldo's promise of protection, yet in her gut she knew the men who haunted them wouldn't retreat easily. Meanwhile, Daniel was soaring. Word of his showcase performance spread quickly through the academy. Coaches spoke of his work ethic, his hunger, his fire. Journalists began sniffing around, whispering about the American boy under Ronaldo's wing. Scouts circled. Claire watched with pride, but also with dread. Fame was a double-edged sword. The brighter Daniel shone, the easier he was to find. That week, the academy arranged another match, this time against a tougher rival side. Ronaldo himself watched from the stands, flanked by scouts and youth managers. Daniel played like lightning. He intercepted, sprinted, scored. By the end, he had notched a goal and 2 assists. The crowd chanted his name, Dano. Ronaldo caught his eye as he left the pitch, giving a small, approving nod. For Daniel, it felt like being knighted by a king. But joy never lasted long. That night, after walking home from practice, Claire unlocked the apartment door and froze. The lights inside were already on. She was sure she had turned them off before leaving. "Mom," Daniel asked behind her. Her instinct screamed. She pushed him back into the hallway. "Stay here." She stepped inside cautiously. The living room was untouched. But on the table lay something that hadn't been there before, her wallet neatly opened. And next to it, a single photograph, Daniel, celebrating his goal earlier that day, ripped from a printout. Across it, in red marker, was scrawled, "Pay or lose him." Claire's stomach dropped. She grabbed the photo and shoved Daniel out the door. "We're going to Ronaldo's. Now." At the villa, she thrust the photograph at Ronaldo, shaking. They were inside. They were inside our home. Ronaldo studied it, his jaw tightening. His voice, usually calm, was edged with steel. "This has gone too far." He summoned his private security team, men who had guarded him for years. Orders were given swiftly. "Move them here," he commanded. From now on, Claire and Daniel do not sleep outside these walls. Daniel sat silently, fists clenched, eyes wide. "They want to ruin me, Ma. They want to destroy everything." Ronaldo crouched in front of him, his eyes burning with intensity. "Listen to me, Daniel. The only way they win is if they break you. Don't let them. Your job is to play. Leave the rest to me." Daniel nodded, swallowing hard, his fear warring with determination. But the escalation wasn't over. 2 days later, during training, police sirens wailed nearby. Players paused, distracted, as an officer whispered to the coach. Moments later, Claire was pulled aside, pale and trembling. A black car, matching the description of the one that had followed them, had been found abandoned near the academy. Inside were surveillance photos of Daniel, schedules of his training sessions, and a burner phone filled with threatening messages. The police promised an investigation, but Claire knew too well how these men operated. They would disappear, vanish into the cracks, only to strike again. That night, Daniel broke down for the first time. Sitting in the villa's guest room, he buried his face in his hands. "Why me, Mom?" "But I just wanted to play football. I didn't ask for any of this." Claire wrapped her arms around him, tears falling into his hair. "Because you're special, Denny. And special people attract both light and darkness. But you are not alone. Not anymore." The door creaked open. Ronaldo stood there, silent for a moment, before stepping in. He sat across from Daniel, his voice steady but fierce. "When I was a boy, I lived in Madeira. My family had nothing. There were nights I went to bed hungry. People laughed at me, told me I would never make it. They tried to break me, but I didn't stop. I fought. And now I am here. You have the same fire, Daniel. The question is, will you let fear steal it from you? Daniel lifted his head, his eyes wet but burning with something new. No, I won't. Good, Ronaldo said firmly. Because your fight is just beginning. Claire watched them both, her heart torn between fear and gratitude. Ronaldo wasn't just helping her son, he was shaping him into something unbreakable. Still, the danger pressed closer. Late that night, as Ronaldo's villa lay quiet, a security guard spotted movement near the gates. Two figures, hooded, crouched by the fence, trying to cut through. The guards rushed forward, headlights blaring, dogs barking. The men fled, vanishing into the dark countryside. But not before one dropped a small envelope. Inside was a USB stick. Ronaldo plugged it into a secure laptop. A video played. The screen showed a masked man, his voice distorted. Claire Matthews. We warned you. Pay your debt, or your boy becomes a ghost. Football cannot protect him. Not even Ronaldo can protect him. This is our world, not his. The screen went black. Silence filled the room. Claire's hands shook. Daniel's face was pale. Ronaldo leaned back, his expression hardening like stone. Then we take the fight to them. The day of Daniel's biggest match yet dawned with Lisbon bathed in golden light. It was an invitational tournament, the kind that drew scouts from across Europe. Clubs from Spain, Italy, and England had representatives in the stands. A single dazzling performance could change a career forever. Daniel laced his boots slowly, his hands trembling. He glanced at his mother, who stood nervously by the sideline, and at Ronaldo, who gave him a steady nod. You belong here, Ronaldo said, his voice calm but commanding. Remember who you are. Remember why you fight. Daniel swallowed hard and jogged onto the pitch. From the kickoff, the game was brutal. Opponents targeted him, shoving, fouling, testing his nerve. The air was thick with tension, the crowd roaring with every clash. Daniel stumbled once, twice, but each time, he rose quicker. Ronaldo's words echoed in his head. What matters is how you recover. Midway through the first half, an opening came. The ball broke free near midfield. Daniel sprinted, his speed electric, his instincts sharp. He weaved past two defenders, cut inside, and fired a rocket from 20 yards out. The ball soared, curling into the top corner. The stadium erupted. Scouts scribbled furiously into their notebooks. Daniel dropped to his knees, pounding the turf, tears glistening in his eyes. His dream was no longer just a dream, it was alive. Claire screamed with joy, her hands clasped to her chest. Ronaldo rose slowly, applauding with pride. But even in triumph, danger waited. As the second half began, Claire's phone buzzed in her bag. She pulled it out, her joy evaporating. A message blinked across the screen. Nice goal. Enjoy it. It will be his last if you don't pay. Attached was a photo of Daniel celebrating, taken seconds earlier from inside the stadium. Her blood ran cold. They were here, among the crowd, watching. She scanned the stands frantically. Faces blurred together, but in the corner, two men in dark jackets sat still, their eyes fixed on Daniel. Claire's hands shook. She wanted to scream, to run onto the pitch and drag him away. But she froze, trapped between terror and hope. On the field, Daniel was unstoppable. Fueled by adrenaline, he created chance after chance. Near the final whistle, he broke free again, slicing through defenders, and set up the winning goal. The crowd roared as his teammates lifted him high. Scouts whispered his name, Daniel Matthews. Ronaldo leaned toward Claire. He did it. He proved himself today. Claire nodded, tears streaming, but her eyes darted back to the men in the corner. They were gone. After the match, chaos ensued, reporters shouting questions, scouts swarming, players celebrating. Daniel was swept into the locker room, glowing with triumph. But outside, the storm broke. As Claire stepped toward the exit, a hand grabbed her arm. She spun around. It was one of the men from the stands. His eyes were cold, his grip like iron. Congratulations, he hissed. The boy is valuable. Too valuable to be wasted. Pay what you owe, or we collect in other ways. Claire struggled, fear choking her. Before she could cry out, Ronaldo appeared, his presence like a wall of fire. "Let her go!" The man sneered, but he obeyed, slipping into the crowd. Ronaldo pulled Claire close, his voice low but fierce. "Enough! They've crossed the line." Minutes later, Daniel emerged, sweaty and radiant. "Mom, did you see?" "Did you?" He stopped when he saw her pale face, Ronaldo's hand gripping her shoulder. "What happened?" Claire forced a smile. "Nothing, Danny. You were amazing." But Ronaldo shook his head. "No more lies. He deserves the truth." Claire's lips trembled. She looked at her son, then broke. "They're here, Daniel. In Lisbon. They were at the game." Daniel's joy drained away. His fists clenched, his jaw tight. "Then let them come. I'm not afraid." Ronaldo placed a hand on his shoulder. "Courage is good, but recklessness is not. From now on, you stay close. You do not walk alone. Understand?" Daniel nodded, though fire still burned in his eyes. That night, they returned to Ronaldo's villa under heavy guard. Security cameras blinked, dogs patrolled, men in black stood watch. Yet Claire could not sleep. She paced the halls, her heart pounding with fear and fury. In the early hours, her phone buzzed again. A video this time. It showed Daniel asleep in his bed at the villa. The angle was from outside his window. A whispering voice over the footage said, "We can reach him anywhere." Claire screamed, dropping the phone. Ronaldo rushed in, picking it up. His face hardened as he watched. Then he looked at her with eyes full of resolve. "They want war," he said coldly. "Then they'll have it." The villa was silent, but the silence was heavy, suffocating. Claire sat on the couch, her hands gripping a blanket so tightly her knuckles had turned white. Daniel paced the living room, his steps sharp and restless. The video still burned in their minds. Daniel asleep, filmed from outside his window. The faceless voice whispering, "We can reach him anywhere." Ronaldo stood by the window, arms folded, jaw set like stone. He had faced stadiums of screaming fans, ruthless rivals, the crushing weight of expectation, but nothing like this. Nothing as personal. Finally he turned. His voice was low but filled with authority. "They've made their move. Now we make ours." Daniel stopped pacing. "What do you mean?" Ronaldo's eyes locked on his. "They believe fear will break us. But fear is a weapon we can turn back on them." He picked up the phone and dialed a number. Within minutes, 3 men arrived, broad-shouldered, sharp-eyed, moving with the quiet confidence of professionals. "These are my people," Ronaldo explained. "They've worked with me for years. They know how to protect, how to anticipate. From this moment, you're never alone. Not at home. Not at training. Not even at the market." Claire's throat tightened. Relief and fear tangled inside her. "Cristiano, I can't ask you to do all this." He interrupted, firm but gentle. "You didn't ask. I chose. Family protects each other. You are family now." Tears welled in her eyes. She whispered, "Thank you." Daniel, however, burned with anger. "But what if they come again? What if they don't stop?" Ronaldo studied him. "Then we don't just defend. We confront." The room fell silent. Claire's heart skipped. "Confront? Cristiano, these are dangerous men." "I know," Ronaldo replied calmly. "But danger doesn't disappear if you hide from it. It grows. They came into your home, Claire. They filmed your son and mine. That means they've already crossed the line. Now we push back." Daniel clenched his fists. "I'm not afraid." "You should be," Ronaldo said, his gaze piercing. "Fear keeps you sharp. But courage is what makes you fight anyway." He stepped closer, placing a hand on Daniel's shoulder. "When I was young, I had nothing. People tried to break me, to tell me I was too poor, too small, too weak. But I refused to be broken. That's what you must learn, Daniel. Not just on the pitch, but in life." Daniel nodded, swallowing hard. "I'll fight." That night, Ronaldo's team swept the villa, installing new cameras, securing every window, reinforcing the gates. Claire lay awake in the guest room, listening to the distant hum of patrol cars, her chest heavy with fear but also with something new, resolve. At dawn, her phone buzzed. Another message. Last chance. Meet us tomorrow. Bring 250,000 euros or the boy is gone. Location, sent soon. Her blood froze. She showed Ronaldo immediately. He read it without flinching. Good, he said quietly. They've revealed themselves. Claire stared at him in disbelief. Good? They're asking for a ransom we can't pay. Ronaldo's eyes narrowed. And we won't. Instead, we'll meet them on our terms. Daniel stepped forward, fire in his eyes. You mean a trap? Ronaldo gave a small smile. Exactly. The plan was simple but dangerous. Ronaldo's team would set up surveillance, track the men, record everything. Claire would act as though she was coming to pay, but never alone. Daniel would remain behind the walls of the villa, guarded like treasure. Claire's heart pounded at the thought, but she nodded. If it means ending this, I'll do it. The next evening, the message came, a warehouse at the edge of the city. Claire's stomach twisted as the car pulled up, flanked by Ronaldo's men. She clutched her bag, empty, but looking heavy. Inside the warehouse, the air was thick with dust and shadows. Two men waited, their faces half hidden. One smirked. Mrs. Matthews, we knew you'd see reason. Claire's voice trembled, but she stood tall. I came to end this. Smart woman, the other said, stepping closer. Where's the money? Before she could answer, lights blazed. Ronaldo's team burst from the shadows, cameras rolling, their presence overwhelming. The scammers froze, eyes wide. You're done, one of the guards barked. But the men laughed. One pulled out a phone, waving it. You think this ends with us? We're just the messengers. There are bigger players. You can't stop the underworld. Not even Ronaldo can. The name echoed through the warehouse, mocking, venomous. Claire's skin crawled. The guards lunged, seizing them, but the words lingered in the air like poison. Bigger players. Shadows darker than the two men before her. As they were dragged away, one shouted over his shoulder, "This is only the beginning." Claire's legs buckled. Ronaldo caught her, steadying her as always. His voice was low, steady, but fierce. Then we prepare. For all of them. Daniel, waiting back at the villa, ran to her when she returned, tears of relief streaming down his face. Mom, are you okay? She held him tight, whispering, Yes, Danny. For now. But her eyes met Ronaldo's across the room. Both knew the truth. The war wasn't over. It had just escalated.